Turkey says it takes the issue of internally displaced people very seriously, and no one knows that better than Mehmet Gulluoglu. He's the chairman of Afad, which is Turkey's disaster and emergency management agency. I asked him how Turkey will handle the potential humanitarian fallout from this latest conflict.
I mean, in fact, just a few sentences about what's happening. This crisis is going on for 7 years. And in the last 2 years, in Euphrates Shield area, including also Azez, including Elbab, including Jarablus, now there is a safe area. And the aim of the Afrin is also to put a new safe area for the civilians, for the people of the Syrian, and also for the security of Turkey. And as humanitarian organizations of Turkey, we are working in Euphrates Shield area. I mean, there are some camps, there are orphanages, there are hospitals, there are schools, and we are supporting those services. And currently, and while the operations are going on, we are getting ready for if there is any possibility for the new migration, for the new displacement, which people can come from Afrin to the Euphrates Shield area, to the Azez, to the other parts of the Syria, and or to the Idlib. That's why we are just coming from inside Syria. Now we are in the border of Syria and Turkey, and we look for some other areas, and we are ready with our materials, with our tents, with our all needs materials.
So Operation Euphrates Shield started in 2016 and it's been moving closer and closer to Afrin. How is this latest operation, Olive Branch, Zayt and Dalla, different from Operation Euphrates Shield?
There are different things, as you already mentioned. I mean, in Afrin, mostly, as you already mentioned, PYD is, and Turkey is fighting with terrorist organization PYD. In the Euphrates Shield area, it was ISIS. And in fact, PYD, PKK issue is an issue for Turkey for more than 30 years. That's why they are really a strong, maybe more than saying strong, working for years and with support of, unfortunately, with other countries for decades against Turkey. But for ISIS, it was different, and they ran away because Turkey entered that, because Turkey really affected from ISIS also. And in this area, there was an aiming for a regional cantons and putting maybe a new state or going into the Mediterranean Sea. That's why with Euphrates Shield operations also, it blocked that aim, also that chain. And with Afrin also, I mean, because Afrin was one of the cantons that named as Afrin Canton of the PYD, Afrin Canton of that region. And this is also aiming how to take the security needs, security barriers for Turkey. And after Euphrates Shield operations, it took a couple of months to put the humanitarian services for health, for education, and for other services. In Afrin, we are aiming it to put as soon as possible, as much as the areas, the village, the towns are liberated. Or let's say that as much as PYD is clear from there, we are getting ready for giving services for those people, those civilians in there, as much as possible.
So let's clarify for our viewers. We're talking about infrastructure development. We're talking about health and medical facilities. We're talking about schools. We're talking about water supplies, collecting garbage. Simple services which were absent in especially a place like Jarablus.
Exactly.
Are we expecting the same? Are we seeing a similar trend as far as infrastructure is concerned in these areas as well?
Of course. I mean, Turkey is always announced that we are not have any problem with individuals, with civilians in this region. We have problem with PYD, we have problem with terrorist organizations. I mean, we are just coming from inside the Syria. I mean, now you can make your business, you can make your agriculture inside Syria, and more than hundreds of schools repaired. People can go to school, kids can go to school, more than hundreds of mosques repaired. I mean, the life is normalizing.
Well, the question is, can it be sustained? Is that sustainable without your help, without Turkey's help, without Afad's help?
We will see, because Turkey always said that we want that Syrians should be standing with over their own shoes or their own foods, and in that region at least, with their own lives. We are supporting a sustainable life without Turkey's support. But what Turkey is saying, that we are here until they need. until they can manage themselves, until the commerce, the business, the life can go themselves.
So what is the importance then of local councils in areas across the border?
Exactly, and local councils with their own people. I mean, not an artificial management. With an, I mean, really with their own people, with their own decisions, with the support of Turkey. That's why what we are aiming is exactly what you said: a sustainable life with their own culture, with their own people. Turkey is not going there for occupying there. Turkey also, as a country, has some really some red lines for their security, for its citizens, and for the region.
And let's be clear, it's not an easy situation, especially for humanitarian organizations, to be operating in Syria, is it?
Of course, I mean, but not only in Syria, in Somalia, in Afghanistan, in other parts of the world, unfortunately, we face with it. And in Syria also, I don't know how many times hospitals, schools, or humanitarian warehouses or humanitarian trucks are also targeted, unfortunately. I mean, before the official area, the accessibility was the main problem. But after Euphrates area, at least for Euphrates area, the accessibility at least decreased. The accessibility problem is decreased. But still, in like in East Ghouta or some parts, some other parts of the different parts of the Syria, still we have accessibility problem. I mean, more than Turkish control, the forces, I mean, the regime or sometimes other forces, they don't allow humanitarian items to let them inside there.
Is there coordination with Russia?
In Idlib especially, I mean, it was aimed at in the Astana and in the Sochi meetings. Humanitarian accessibility is one of the important thing, one of the important item in the agenda. Between Russia, Iran and Turkey, how to support the humanitarian needs as much as possible was one of the agenda. That's why, at least in the Idlib area, as much as the regime is controlled, because beside the Afrin operation, since the last 2 months, more than 200,000 people moved because of the regime. In these days, we are talking about the Turkish operation in Afrin, but still on the down, I mean, on the south part of the Idlib, the regime's operation, especially the aid trucks, resulted with more than 200,000 people's displacement. That's why in that area, 1 year ago, when the Aleppo evacuation is done, we were afraid that Idlib will be second Aleppo because the regime forces was moving. But we were happy that at the Astana meetings, so-called ceasefire, or at least the escalation zone, is announced in Idlib. But 1 year later, when the regime moved from south, again, we are afraid that lots of people will be displaced again.
Finally, how long is Afad Turkey willing to assist as far as humanitarian needs of Syrians are concerned on the other side of the border? How long are you willing to invest?
As much as needed, because since in the last 7 years, we are supporting Syrians in Turkey, Syrians in the border, Syrians, more than 3 million, 3.7 million people in Turkey, and we didn't say that it's enough. That's why we are doing our best for supporting them, and for people inside Syria, because at the end, 7 years is really, nearly half generation. When a kid was 10 years old, now he's at 17. That's why nearly close to adult years. We are ready, and we will be supporting as much as possible. But at the end, this is war. What we are talking is something war. That's why it should be finished as soon as possible. This ceasefire, or whatever the name you can name, it should come, and then the life again should be normalized as soon as possible.
Mehmet Gulluoglu, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.